and welcome. I'm Wolfgang Riebe and these are my weekly quick tips. Today I'm going to cover a very particular topic. In fact, the topic can be described with one word. And this word is the F word. You know that word that most of us use every day in our vocabulary? The word that a lot of people don't quite understand the meaning of, yet by using the word regularly and without understanding its true power and meaning, we can offend people. People can have resentment towards us. In fact, world wars have been fought because of the non-understanding of this particular F word. Do you know what the word is? Forgiveness. The most powerful F word in the world is forgiveness. And sadly, people don't really understand what it really means to forgive and how to forgive. So what I want to do with this quick tip is share 5 quick, easy tips to make you use this word productively, effectively, and truly be able to embrace the power of what forgiveness really is all about. The first tip, tip number 1, is that you have to consciously decide that you are going to forgive. Whether you do this through thinking about it over the next few days, whether you pray about it, whether you meditate it, you can only forgive once you've made the conscious decision that you are prepared to do this. So tip number 1, consciously decide that you want to forgive. And then tip number 2 is really simple, and that is, it's good for you to forgive. Holding things inside you, keeping that burden, bottling it up, all that does is make you sick. It plays on your mind, it plays on your physical body. To forgive is to let go. Understand that it is good for your health. If you have serious issues in your life, please let them go and forgive, because then you can only become healthier here and here. Tip 3 is really important, and once you understand tip 3, everything else falls into place. Realize and understand that you too, and I include myself in this, that you too could have consciously or even unconsciously hurt someone else. It's just part of life and who we are. Sometimes we do things unintentionally. So once you realize that, hang on, I could also be at fault as I feel negatively or anger towards somebody or something out there. There could be somebody out there that feels that towards me and I don't even realize it. So once you can conceptualize this thought, it makes it easier for you to forgive others. Now tip 4 is really simple, and that is, write down your emotions and thoughts in the form of a letter. If you just constantly think about your issues and the people that you need to forgive and the hurt that you have and the resentment, you have this kind of mishmash of thoughts in your head and you never get clarity on this. And this is what you need clarity. So by taking all those thoughts, just writing them down initially and then formulating a logical letter, forgiving or asking for forgiveness, can be one of the two, everything in a proper letter to that other person that already gets rid of it from here and places it over there. You've got to get that hatred, that negativity, the issues, all these feelings out of your mind. I'm not saying you have to post the letter to that person, not at all. It is merely a form of transferal of these negative and bad and unhealthy thoughts onto a piece of paper. And remember, because you're not giving it out any further or not sending it to that person, you can be as open, as vulnerable, and as emotional, that's better if you are this, as possible on this letter. In that way, you're getting rid of all the internal conflict. And do me a favor, when asking for forgiveness, yes, asking others for forgiveness for what you've done to them and also forgiving others for what they have done to you. All those feelings on that piece of paper. That reminds me of a story. Before criticizing or judging someone else, put on their shoes and walk 10 miles a day in their shoes for the next 10 days. Guess what? In 10 days from now, you'll be 100 miles away and you'll have their shoes. I just had to throw that in. Tip number 5, live in the now. More and more people are using this term. You've got to live in the now. What does it mean, live in the now? Are they smoking something? Not at all. This is the most powerful and productive thing you can do in your life, if you can live in the now. Here's an interesting fact, whether you want to agree with me or not, it's a fact, and it is true. You cannot change the past. No matter how bad the past has been, no matter what has happened in the past in your life, you can do nothing about it. It was there, it happened, finished. You have to accept it. If you don't accept it, you're going to be bitter your whole life, you're going to be resentful your whole life. However, what you can do is you can learn from it that it doesn't happen again, and you can let it go. If you do not let it go, you will never grow. Therefore, you have got to forgive others that have done things to you, otherwise it's going to hold you down. And you also have to ask for forgiveness for others so that they can carry on as well. But you can only do that if you understand the concept of living in the now. By living in the now, it means that you are living and aware of everything that's happening here and now in this very moment. By living in the now, nothing happens in the past or the future because you're living now. Does that make sense? Right now, nothing can happen to the past because I'm in the now. Nothing can happen in the future because I'm in the now. Now, if you live in the now and you approach everybody the same in the now, you give everybody equal opportunity and you're open and honest and decent with everyone around you, your life starts having a different meaning. It's all about just being open and forgiving those around you and asking for forgiveness. You may even know people that have done something bad to you and you hold that resentment. And you may know 100% for sure that it's their fault, the situation that you're in now and the feeling that's there now. Why can't you say to them, you know what, I forgive you, even if it's not your fault? It's happened in my life a few times. I'm a normal person like anybody else. That there's been an argument or disagreement, and yes, both parties have been aggressive. And I've actually looked at myself and practices living in the now and gone, hang on, but this doesn't make me feel good now. It's irrelevant whether it's their fault or not. I want to feel better about this. And I've actually gone up to them and said, can we start over? I'm sorry if in any way I offended you. Do you know what has happened? In 100% of cases where I've done that, I've developed a friendship where those people are still close friends today. Are you really that ego-driven that you can't say I'm sorry to somebody else? Rather be the first to do that. Rather do that and have a fantastic friendship and a peaceful, content life than hold that resentment the whole time. You see, that's called living in the now. If you can start practicing that, makes a big difference. So in essence, with the F word, forgiveness, remember, there are 5 tips here. Number 1, you've got to consciously decide that you're going to do it. That is the first step, and that's actually the biggest step of all. Number 2, you have to realize it's good for you. It's going to get rid of all that anger and resentment, all that stuff that's making you mentally and physically sick. Number 3, you've also got to understand that you too could have consciously or unconsciously have hurt someone else, because we're all human, and that makes it easier to forgive others if you understand that. And fourthly, very important, take all these internal emotions, write them down in the form of a letter, whether it's asking for forgiveness or forgiving someone else. You don't have to send it off, but doing that gets rid of the internal conflict and it makes forgiveness so much easier. And then finally, please, tip number 5, live in the now. Because when you live in the now, you won't use the F word so haphazardly anymore. You'll understand the importance and the power that the F word has. And every time you forgive, you're going to do it really consciously, knowing that by doing that, you're starting to have a better quality of life. I trust this quick tip makes a lot of sense to you. That's it from me for this week. And I'll see you next week. From me, Wolfgang Riebe. Until then, bye.